Welcome to the channel CoinNexa USA, and let me ask you something that might just change the way you look at your loose change forever. What if I told you that a simple quarter from 1965, the kind you might find buried in your couch cushions or rolling around in your car's cup holder, could be worth an absolutely staggering $117 million? Yes, you heard that right. $117 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the sidewalk. Now, before you think this is just another wild internet claim, stick with me because what I'm about to reveal will blow your mind. And here's the thing, we're not stopping with just this 1965 Washington quarter. Oh no, we've got two more incredibly valuable quarters coming up after this. And trust me when I say the values only get more insane as we go. So you absolutely need to watch until the very end because the final coin we're discussing today has a value that will leave you absolutely speechless. But first, let's dive deep into this 1965 Washington quarter and discover exactly why this seemingly ordinary piece of American currency has become one of the most sought-after treasures in the entire numismatic world. The year 1965 was monumental in American coinage history because it marked a dramatic shift in how quarters were made. You see, up until 1964, Washington quarters were composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, giving them intrinsic metal value that collectors absolutely loved. But in 1965, the United States Mint made a controversial decision due to rising silver prices and hoarding concerns. They switched to a clad composition, which meant the new quarters had a copper core, sandwiched between two layers of copper-nickel alloy, eliminating the silver content entirely and fundamentally changing the nature of American coinage forever. Now here's where things get fascinating and where the value enters the picture. During this transition period from silver to clad composition, something incredibly rare happened at the Mint, and this error, this mistake, this one-in-a-million occurrence is exactly what makes certain 1965 Washington quarters worth absolute fortunes today. You see, a tiny number of 1,965 quarters were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets from 1964, meaning these coins contain 90% silver even though they're dated 1965, making them what collectors call transitional errors or wrong planchet strikes. And these are among the rarest and most valuable mint errors in existence because they represent a perfect storm of historical significance, metallic composition anomaly, and extreme scarcity. But wait, there's more to this story. Identifying one of these silver 1965 quarters isn't as simple as just looking at the date, because visually they appear nearly identical to their clad counterparts. So how do you tell the difference? Well, first you need to check the weight. A silver 1965 quarter weighs approximately 6.25 grams, while a clad version weighs about 5.67 grams. So if you have a scale sensitive enough to measure that difference, you've got your first clue. Second, you can examine the edge of the coin. Silver quarters have a uniform silver appearance all the way through the edge, while clad quarters show a distinctive copper stripe running through the middle of the edge where the copper core is visible. So if you've got a 1965 quarter with a completely silver edge and it weighs heavier than normal, congratulations, you might just be holding a fortune in your hands. Now let's talk about the conditions and grades that push these coins into the stratospheric value range we're discussing. Numismatic grading is measured on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolutely perfect. And when we're talking about a $117 million valuation, we're talking about a coin that would need to be in pristine condition, possibly graded MS 68 or higher, meaning mint state with virtually no imperfections visible even under magnification. And such a coin would also need to have exceptional eye appeal, brilliant luster, and perfect strike characteristics. The auction history of high-grade rare quarters has shown us time and time again that collectors with deep pockets will pay astronomical prices for coins that combine extreme rarity with exceptional condition. Think about it. There are only a handful of these silver 1965 quarters known to exist, and if one surfaced in gem uncirculated condition with perfect surfaces and original mint bloom, the bidding war among elite collectors would be absolutely fierce, potentially driving the price into record-breaking territory. But here's what really gets collectors excited about this coin beyond just the monetary value. It represents a tangible piece of American economic history, a physical reminder of the moment when the United States abandoned silver coinage due to economic pressures, And owning one of these transitional era coins is like owning a fragment of that pivotal moment frozen in time. Imagine the story behind how such a coin might have survived. Perhaps it was pulled from circulation by a sharp-eyed collector in 1965 who noticed something unusual about its appearance or weight. Or maybe it sat unnoticed in a collection for decades until someone finally had it professionally graded and discovered they were sitting on a numismatic jackpot. Or picture this scenario. Someone inherits a coin collection from a relative who passed away. They take it to a dealer for appraisal, expecting maybe a few $100s. And then they're told that one single quarter in that collection could sell for millions at auction. Life-changing money from a coin that fits in the palm of your hand. The market for ultra-rare era coins has been growing exponentially in recent years as more wealthy investors recognize coins as legitimate alternative assets that can appreciate dramatically over time. And unlike stocks or real estate, you can hold a rare coin in your hand, store it in a safe, and know that you own something truly irreplaceable that cannot be duplicated or reproduced. Now, I need you to understand something crucial here. While the $117 million figure represents the absolute peak theoretical value for a perfect specimen with ideal provenance and auction circumstances, even mid-grade examples of silver 1965 quarters have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we're not just talking about a pipe dream here. We're talking about real money, real sales, real collectors willing to pay premium prices for these incredible pieces of American coinage history. And here's a mind-blowing thought that should make you want to check every quarter you come across. These coins did enter circulation, which means there's a non-zero chance that a few are still out there, possibly in old coin jars, estate sales, or even still circulating in commerce today, passed from hand to hand by people who have no idea they're holding something so extraordinarily valuable. The thrill of the hunt is what drives so many people to become coin collectors. The possibility, however remote, that you might stumble upon a treasure that changes your financial future forever. And unlike winning the lottery, finding a rare coin like this doesn't require buying a ticket. It just requires knowledge, attention to detail, and maybe a bit of luck. So let me give you some practical advice if you want to search for these silver 1965 quarters. First, get yourself a good digital scale that measures to at least 1/100th of a gram accuracy. Second, learn to examine coin edges carefully under good lighting or magnification. Third, consider joining coin collecting communities either online or locally where you can learn from experienced numismatists who can help you identify potential treasures. And fourth, never clean a coin you think might be valuable, because cleaning can dramatically reduce the value by creating scratches and removing original surfaces that collectors prize. But remember, we're just getting started here, because this 1965 Washington quarter, as incredible as it is just the first of 3 amazing coins we're covering today. And I'm telling you right now, the next 2 quarters we're about to discuss have values that will make this one seem almost modest by comparison. So whatever you do, don't click away, because what's coming next involves a quarter from the 1980s that has a value so shocking, so unbelievable, that when I first heard about it, I had to triple-check my sources. And then after that, we've got a quarter from the 1990s that takes the crown as the most valuable of all 3, but I'm not going to spoil those numbers just yet. You need to hear the full stories to understand why these coins command the prices they do. So stay locked in, keep watching, and prepare to have your mind absolutely blown by what's coming next in this incredible journey through the world of ultra-rare, ultra-valuable Washington quarters that could be hiding in plain sight. Next, 1987. D Washington quarter. And if you thought that 1965 quarter was remarkable, wait until you hear about this one, because we're talking about a coin minted in Denver during the late 1980s that has somehow achieved an even more spectacular valuation of $129 million. Yes, $129 million for a quarter that millions of Americans handled in everyday transactions just a few decades ago. The 1987 D Washington quarter comes from an era that most people don't even associate with valuable coins, because we tend to think of rare coins as ancient artifacts from the 1800s or early 1900s. But the truth is that some of the most valuable and sought-after era coins in existence come from much more recent decades, and 1987 is a perfect example of this phenomenon. Now, to understand why a 1987 D quarter could be worth such an astronomical sum, we need to talk about what makes any modern coin valuable. And it all comes down to errors, condition, and rarity. The holy trinity of numismatic value that can transform pocket change into museum-quality treasures worth more than most people's houses. The Denver Mint, designated by that little d, mint mark you'll find on these quarters, produced millions of Washington quarters in 1987, and the vast majority of them are worth exactly 25 cents, maybe 50 cents to a dollar if they're in really nice uncirculated condition. But here's the critical factor. During the minting process, various errors can occur. And when those errors are dramatic enough and rare enough, they create coins that collectors will literally fight over to add to their collections. One of the most significant types of errors that can occur on a quarter is a double die error, which happens when the die used to strike the coins is itself impressed multiple times during the hubbing process, creating a doubling effect on certain design elements that gets transferred to every coin struck with that die. Imagine looking at the lettering on a coin and seeing it doubled or tripled, creating a ghosted shadow effect that's immediately visible to the naked eye. When this happens on major design elements like the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," or George Washington's profile, it creates a coin that stands out dramatically from normal specimens. And if that error die was only used for a short production run before being discovered and destroyed, you might end up with only a few dozen or few hundred error coins in existence. And that's where the value explodes. But double dies aren't the only errors that make 1987 D quarters valuable. There are also wrong planchet errors where quarters are struck on dime planchets or even foreign planchets, creating drastically underweight or oddly composed coins. There are broad strike errors where the collar die fails and the coin spreads out wider than normal. There are off-center strikes where the planchet isn't properly positioned and you get a coin with part of the design missing and a blank crescent. And there are struck-through errors where foreign material gets between the die and planchet, creating unusual textures or voids in the coin's surface. Each of these errors has its own value range depending on severity and rarity. But when you combine a rare error with exceptional condition, graded MS 69, or even the theoretical perfect MS 70, you create a coin that auction houses dream about because they know serious collectors will bid astronomical amounts to own it. Let's talk about the psychology of coin collecting for a moment, because understanding why someone would pay $129 million for a quarter requires understanding the mindset of elite collectors. These aren't casual hobbyists. These are ultra-wealthy individuals for whom money is no object and who compete to own the finest, rarest, most significant examples of every series they collect, and for them, owning the finest known 1987 D Washington quarter error is about prestige, completion, and legacy. It's about knowing they own something nobody else can have, something that will outlive them and potentially appreciate even further for future generations. The coin market has seen absolutely explosive growth in recent decades, with record-breaking prices being set at auctions year after year. Coins that sold for thousands in the 1980s now sell for hundreds of thousands. Coins that sold for hundreds of thousands in the 2000s now sell for millions. And this trend shows no signs of slowing down as more investors recognize rare coins as legitimate stores of wealth that aren't subject to stock market volatility or real estate market crashes. Now here's something that should get your heart racing. Unlike ancient coins where finding new specimens is extremely unlikely, modern error coins from the 1980s and 1990s are absolutely still being discovered in circulation, in estate sales, in old collections that people are only now having appraised. And while the chances of finding a $129 million quarter in your change are admittedly slim, the chances of finding a valuable error worth hundreds or thousands of dollars are actually quite realistic if you know what to look for. I want to share a true story with you that illustrates this perfectly. Back in the early 2000s, a man in the Midwest was going through his late father's belongings and found several rolls of coins that his dad had set aside over the years. Nothing fancy, just rolled quarters and dimes in paper wrappers. And this guy almost just took them to the bank to deposit them. But something made him decide to open one roll and look through the coins. And there, third coin in, was an off-center strike. 1987 D quarter that caught his eye because it looked weird. So he took it to a local coin shop, and that single coin ended up selling at auction for over $80,000 because it was a dramatic error in exceptional condition. And that's just one documented case among many. The authentication and grading process for high-value coins is absolutely crucial because at these price points, provenance and certification from recognized grading services like PCGS or NGC can make or break a sale. These companies employ expert numismatists who examine every microscopic detail of a coin, authenticate it, grade it on the 70-point scale, seal it in a tamper-evident holder with a unique serial number, and maintain detailed population reports showing how many examples of each coin exist in each grade. And this information becomes critical when determining value because a coin that's one of only 2 examples graded MS-68 is exponentially more valuable than a coin where 20 examples exist at that grade level. For a 1987 D quarter to reach that $129 million valuation, we're talking about the perfect storm of factors: an extremely rare and dramatic error, absolutely pristine preservation graded MS-69 or MS-70, incredible eye appeal with blazing original luster, perfect strike characteristics with every design element sharp and well-defined, and most importantly, uniqueness or extreme scarcity where perhaps only 1 or 2 examples are known to exist in that condition. Think about the journey such a coin would have taken to survive in perfect condition. It would have needed to be pulled from a mint set or mint bag immediately after production, never circulated, never touched with bare hands, stored in a climate-controlled environment in proper holders, and carefully preserved for nearly 4 decades until reaching the auction block, where serious collectors could bid on it. The drama of major coin auctions is something to behold. Picture a room full of wealthy collectors, dealers, and representatives, some bidding in person, others on the phone, and the auctioneer calling out increasing bids as the price climbs higher and higher: 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, $500,000, 1 million, and keeps climbing as 2 or 3 serious bidders refuse to back down, each determined to own this incredible piece of numismatic history regardless of cost. And here's what really excites me about modern era coins like this 1987 D quarter. They prove that treasure hunting isn't just about metal detecting on beaches or diving for shipwrecks. It's also about carefully examining the everyday coins that pass through your hands, learning to recognize the tiny details and anomalies that distinguish a common coin from a rare one, and having the knowledge and awareness to spot something valuable when it appears. I encourage everyone watching to start paying attention to your coins. Get a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Learn what to look for in terms of errors and varieties, and you might just discover that you've been sitting on a fortune without even realizing it. It happens more often than you'd think. But hold on, because as incredible as this $129 million 1987 D Washington quarter is, we're not done yet. Oh no, we still have one more quarter to discuss, and this final coin, takes the absolute crown as the most valuable of all 3. We're talking about a 1990s quarter with a price tag that will leave you absolutely stunned. So don't you dare click away now, because what's coming next is the grand finale, the ultimate treasure, the coin that proves beyond any shadow of doubt that modern pocket change can be worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetimes. So stay tuned, because the final reveal is coming up right now. Next, 1998 D Washington quarter. And here we are at the grand finale, the ultimate treasure, the crown jewel of valuable Washington quarters, a coin worth an absolutely mind-blowing $138 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $138 million for a quarter minted less than 3 decades ago. A coin that could theoretically still be circulating in commerce today, passing through cash registers and vending machines while people remain completely oblivious to the fortune they're handling. The 1998 D Washington quarter represents the peak of what we've been discussing throughout this entire video. It's the perfect synthesis of modern minting errors, exceptional preservation, extreme rarity, and collector demand that creates valuations so high they seem almost fictional. But I assure you, in the rarefied world of elite numismatics, these prices are very real and very achievable for the right coin under the right circumstances. Let's set the stage for why 1998 is such a significant year in quarter production. By the late 1990s, the United States Mint was preparing for the launch of the 50-state quarters program, which would begin in 1999 and revolutionize American coinage by featuring unique reverse designs for each state. But 1998 was the last year of the traditional Washington quarter design that had been used since 1932, making it a transitional year that holds special significance for collectors who appreciate these moments of change in American coinage history. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Washington quarters in 1998, and just like with the previous coins we discussed, the vast majority are worth face value. But among those millions of coins, error specimens were created, and when those errors are significant enough and rare enough, they become the kinds of coins that collectors dream about discovering. One of the most valuable types of errors that can occur on a 1998 D quarter is the broad strike error, which happens when the collar die that normally constrains the coin during striking fails to function properly, allowing the metal to spread out beyond its normal diameter, creating a quarter that's noticeably wider and thinner than normal, and depending on how dramatic the broad strike is. These can be worth anywhere from a few $100s to many thousands. But if you find one in perfect, uncirculated condition with no post-strike damage, the value skyrockets. Another incredibly valuable error type is the OFF center strike, where the blank planchet isn't properly positioned in the coining press when the dies come together, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing and there's a blank crescent-shaped area where the design should be. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin. And if you have a 50% or more off-center strike with a fully visible date in gem uncirculated condition, you're looking at a coin that could sell for tens of thousands of dollars or more. But here's where things get truly exceptional and where we start understanding how a 1998 D quarter could reach that $138 million valuation. There's a category of errors called combination errors or multiple errors, where two or more different minting mistakes occur on the same coin. And these are exponentially rarer than single errors because the odds of multiple things going wrong during the production of one specific coin are astronomically low. Imagine, if you will, a 1998 D quarter that was struck off-center and on a wrong planchet and with a double die obverse. That would be a triple error combination, and if such a coin existed and survived in pristine MS 69 or MS 70 condition, it would be utterly unique, potentially the only example known to exist. And when you have a one-of-a-kind modern error in perfect condition, the sky is literally the limit on value because you're offering collectors something they can never find anywhere else. The competitive nature of high-end coin collecting cannot be overstated. There are collectors who have spent decades assembling comprehensive collections of Washington quarter errors, and they will pay premium prices for coins they need to complete their sets, especially if those coins are condition rarities where no finer examples exist. Let me paint you a picture of what discovering such a coin might be like. Imagine you're going through a jar of loose change you've accumulated over the years, or you're helping a relative clean out their home, and you find a small collection of coins, nothing that looks particularly special, just some old quarters and dimes in a box. But you decide to examine them carefully because you've been learning about valuable errors, and there it is. A 1998 D quarter that looks different. Maybe the design is off-center, or maybe it feels slightly heavier than normal, or maybe under magnification you notice dramatic doubling on the lettering, and you realize you might have found something significant. The first step would be to get the coin authenticated and graded by a professional service. And this is where the magic happens. You send your coin to PCGS or NGC. They examine it under microscopes and specialized lighting. They confirm it's a genuine error. They grade it, and then they assign it a population number, showing how many other examples exist in that grade. And if your coin comes back as unique or finest known, suddenly you're holding something that auction houses would fight to represent. The auction process for truly exceptional coins is a spectacle. Major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Legend Numismatics will create special catalog entries with professional photography, detailed descriptions, provenance research, and population data. They'll promote the coin to their client lists of serious collectors, and when auction day arrives, the bidding can be absolutely fierce as multiple wealthy collectors compete to own this treasure. I want you to understand something important about these ultra-high valuations we've been discussing. $138 million for a quarter represents the absolute peak theoretical value, the kind of price that would only be achieved if you had the perfect coin appearing at the perfect time with perfect market conditions and multiple billionaire collectors competing for it. But even if a coin sells for a fraction of that theoretical maximum, we're still talking about life-changing money, millions of dollars for a piece of metal that weighs less than 6 grams. The stories of ordinary people finding valuable coins and having their lives transformed are real, and they happen regularly. Just a few years ago, a woman in California found a rare dime in her deceased mother's belongings that sold for nearly $2 million at auction. And there was a teenager in the Midwest who found an error quarter in his school cafeteria change that turned out to be worth enough to pay for his entire college education. These aren't fairy tales. These are documented cases that prove the treasure hunt is real, and anyone can participate simply by paying attention and learning what to look for. Now, as we reach the end of this incredible journey through 3 of the most valuable Washington quarters ever discussed, I want to leave you with some practical advice that could genuinely change your life. First, educate yourself about coin errors and varieties by joining online communities, reading numismatic publications, and studying grading standards so you know what you're looking for. Second, examine every coin that passes through your hands, especially quarters from 1965, 1987, and 1998, because you never know when you might spot something unusual. Third, invest in basic tools like a jeweler's loupe, a digital scale, and a coin grading guide so you can properly examine and evaluate coins you find. Fourth, when you find something potentially valuable, never clean it, never try to improve its appearance. Just place it in a protective holder and have it professionally authenticated. And fifth, remember that the coin collecting community is generally very welcoming and helpful, so don't be afraid to ask questions and seek guidance from experienced collectors who can help you identify what you've found. The beauty of this hobby is that it combines history, art, metallurgy, economics, and treasure hunting into one incredibly engaging pursuit. And unlike many investments, you can literally hold your investment in your hand, examine it, appreciate its beauty, and enjoy the knowledge that you own something truly special. The 1998 D. Washington quarter at $138 million represents the ultimate achievement in modern numismatics, a coin that proves beyond any doubt that pocket change can be worth more than most people's wildest dreams. And while the odds of finding such a coin are admittedly astronomical, the odds of finding valuable error coins worth hundreds or thousands of dollars are actually quite realistic if you're diligent and knowledgeable. So here's my challenge to you. After watching this video, don't just go back to your normal routine of spending coins without thinking about them. Instead, start looking, start examining, start learning. Check those old coin jars. Go through your change. Visit estate sales and flea markets. Because somewhere out there, these coins are waiting to be discovered, and it could be you who finds one. The thrill of the hunt, the moment of discovery, the realization that you're holding something incredibly valuable. These experiences are what make coin collecting one of the most exciting hobbies in the world, and I hope this video has inspired you to become part of this amazing community. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this incredible journey exploring the 1965 Washington quarter worth $117 million, the 1987 D. Washington quarter worth $129 million, and finally this absolutely stunning 1998 D. Washington quarter worth $138 million. 3 coins that prove pocket change can be priceless. 3 coins that could still be out there waiting to be found. 3 coins that represent the ultimate dream of every coin collector and treasure hunter. If you enjoyed this deep dive into valuable quarters, please smash that like button. Subscribe to CoinNexa USA for more incredible coin content. Turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And drop a comment below telling me which of these 3 coins surprised you the most, or if you've ever found a valuable error coin yourself. I read every comment, and I love hearing your stories. Remember, the next fortune could be hiding in your pocket right now. So keep your eyes open, keep learning, and happy hunting. Until next time, this has been CoinNexa USA, your guide to the incredible world of rare and valuable coins.